Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be putting us through how to calculate profile user profile percentage. That is, let's say for example, your users are about to you have registered users and you want to know the percentage at which they have actually completed their profile. So this was a problem that I actually faced while I was working on the project last week. This last week, yes. So I started researching and I came across this particular answer on Laracast. The user stated how one could list the attributes, then you use your collection to map through them, then get using the get attributes on the user model or on the model, then you can use it to get the particular attribute. Then you filter out the attribute if the attribute is null. So if the attribute is null, it will be filtered out. That's what this filter does. Then for count, is basically for you to count the number of filtered items that have been completed. So you just do your calculation complete divided by total attributes times 100. This is just regular math. So, but looking at this solution, I was thinking of what if the user attribute is actually I? Let's say, let's assume the number of attributes actually increases, or also you perform a migration, then you forget to actually add the new field that you just migrated into your DB to this. That will actually you might actually forget that and that won't work. So I thought of a better way, which is how I'll be showing us today. I'll do both. So that was what I plan to show you today, how you can actually perform a more dynamic calculation. So I have already created some I've already created a migration. I generated a sample project, created a migration uh, for users. I also created an association, which means a user can have one company. So if you look at my user model, there is an as one. Um, there's an as one attribute, that is a user can only have one company. And if you check the company attribute, a company belongs to a particular user. This is the company's table, which contains the user ID, the owner of the company, and the name of the company. And this is the users table that contains a couple of fields: first name, last name, middle name, phone number, etc. I created two factories. The first factory helps to populate our users with fake data, our user attributes with fake data. The second factory does the same for the company. You will notice that I didn't provide the user ID. I'll provide that during the seeding session. So how am I seeding this data into the database? I'm seeding the database into the database by basically calling the user factory, create the user, then iterating iterating through each users, so that we can then perform some random so I intend to set some of the user attributes to null. So anytime this if statement returns on true or false, the particular field is set to null. There might be a better way, but this was the way I could easily quickly think of to set some attributes to field. So anytime any of these if statements returns true, the user attribute is set to null. You notice that when I created the user table as well, I set almost all the attributes to null. This is just for this is just for demo purpose. In a real application, you might not be setting all of this to null. You might be setting the middle name, phone number to null, depending on how you intend for your users to actually sign up on the application. So that is how I did the seeding. Then so now that we have a list of users, I already created a simple API that returns the list of users in the system. If you check my list of users in the system, you see that some of the fields are null. You see that some of the fields are null. Some of the fields are null. So that is that, and you can also I also created API that you can use to fetch a single user. For example, user with ID of 1 is fetched. If you check my, that is done in my API route. I didn't bother to create any controller since it's just a demo. In a real world application, I will advise you to actually create a controller for more testable and more clean code to follow the Laravel convention. So this returns the list of the users. I'm not paginating since I only seeded 10 data into database. And I also, this is just an API to return a particular user using the Laravel resource. User resource, I have associated each attribute to the user ID, first name, middle name, phone number, etc., etc. Then I've created a get attribute on the user model that I'll be using to do the calculation for each user. So this is where our calculation will be happening. So let's get started. So the first thing I will need to like to show us is to do the regular was in the code that was created by that I found on Laracast. I want us to do an implementation of that. Then we then go ahead to improve on that particular of the Laracast example. I've already, to make this tutorial faster, I've already created code samples that I will just be copying to make the coding session faster and not bore you guys with me typing. So I'll just be copying from where I've pasted the code samples. So the first thing is, as I said, we need to list our attributes. So once you list your attributes, you can then go ahead to map through it, just like it is done. It is done in the sample provided by Laracast. So you see that you map through it, go through each of the attributes, then you get attributes, then you filter. So let me do a quick background on how I was able to take a deep dive into the Laravel model attributes. So if you check the Laravel model attributes, you see there is an as attribute trait on it, which is what contains most of the methods we will be making use of. Now, if you check it, you will notice that we have there is the attribute to array. This method simply converts the model attribute to an array. There is also get attributes, and there is also relations to array that you can easily use to get all the array of relations that are associated to a particular model. Then there is the get attributes. Let me look for it. Get attributes. Yeah. So this basically accepts a key and returns the value of the attribute to you. So you will notice that our get attribute has this ability to check if the array key exists. If the array key exists, or a cast of that array key exists, it goes ahead to get the value of the attributes. So basically that is what it also gets if it has a mutator, has an attribute mutator. I don't want us to go into that. Then the beautiful thing about this method is, if the array key does not exist, it goes ahead to check if there is a relation with that key. And if the relation with that key exists, or the relation is loaded, it goes ahead to fetch us the relation value, or otherwise it throws a missing attribute. So the beauty of this is, it does not only check for the user's attributes alone, it also checks for the relationships that you have defined on the user. So you should watch out for this. That's why our get attribute works for both user user attributes and its relations. So so let's go back to the code. Where is my user model. Okay, so I've already, as I said, this has been listed. So if we go ahead to return a calculation, so what we are going to do is we need a count of completed, and we also, now the count of completed, if you are going to get percentage, let's say you want to get percentage of a particular number, you do the um, the the number you are getting percentage of divided by the total, which is our number of attributes that we are calculating on, times 100. So all I like to do is I prefer to put the first calculation I want to be done in a this thing. Then once you do this, you can then go ahead to, so this will help you compute the calculations that is needed to get the percentage. So if you come here, okay, you notice now this the current percentage of this user is 6.66.6666, but I don't like this. If we refresh, you see 6 blah, this one is 50, this one is 50, this is 66.6, this is 83, so that these are the percentage of this user. So I don't like the way it is not properly formatted. Then we can then go ahead and do this and say, let's round it, let's round it up, round. So let's give it a, so this round has a default of 0, precision of 0, that is number of decimal places. If we go back now, we'll just be seeing 67. As you can see, it has been rounded up, it has been rounded up, it has been rounded up. So you can do it that, okay, if you want a particular precision, I like always use the 2 precision. It's usually close to accuracy. As you can see now, we have 66.67, 66 points, we have 66, we have 83. This is calculated. As you can see, this user has a lot of fields that are not yet filled. That's why it is giving us such a low percentage. Now, what happens if we now add more attributes? Let's say we created a migration and we add more attributes. We'll have to be coming back to this place to be including. Say, okay, now say, oh, I want to add phone number, for example, phone number to the attributes being calculated. You will have to come back here, then we get a new set of calculation. As you can see, this is 28 points. So this is 71 now because we've included phone number, so and so on and so forth. So that is why I came up with the solution to actually get the attributes dynamically and get the relationships dynamically. um, the dynamic fetching of dynamic. So how do we fetch it? I already showed you this as attribute traits that has the methods that we need. The method I'm currently going to make use of now is this attributes. This gets you all the attributes that are associated to the particular model you have this method in. So if let me do a quick die dump on the user attributes. If I visit the users, you can see that we have the ID, the first name, the last name, all of the attributes of the users. But one thing that you need to note is that what we need is to actually get the keys of this array, of this collection array. So but before we do that, you see that we have the ID, we have the created that, the updated that. So there will be situations whereby you don't want some fields appearing in this particular set of collection. So with the help of Laravel, we can easily do an except on attributes that we want to remove. So we can say except uh, ID created at then also updated at. There is no point calculating your users profile completion on these fields. That is why I'm using it. So if you have other fields that you want to remove as well, you can go ahead and remove it. If we go back now and refresh, we realize we have a less. So now we only have username, first name, and the likes. So after removing it, we can then go ahead to get the keys. So the keys will give us all the keys of the user attributes. This is also a Laravel helper associated to Laravel collection. So now if you refresh now, you see that the only thing we are going to be getting now are the keys. So we have our keys now. So we can then go ahead to use this same method. We can then go ahead to say, okay, our let me just call this attributes. So we can then go ahead to use this same method here as states and do this. Then this will also still give us the calculations that we want to make use of. So if we go ahead and refresh now, we get our normal data 72.73 and the like. So this has made it dynamic. So even tomorrow, if you had an extra column or anything, you can go ahead. And if you intend to, so let me do an example. So let's assume that now if we look at this user is states. So let me fill up this user ID states. Let me call it Lagos. Yeah, by the time I've filled it, let me fill it up. Why am I getting error? I'm getting error. Reload. Okay, I've been signed in of my database. So let me set Lagos. Now, before setting it, you notice that Lagos is currently null. By the time I refresh and look at it, it's currently on 72.73. Since it has been filled, the percentage increased and Lagos is filled. So that way, as your users go ahead to fill in their profile page, their percentage profile completed percentage also increases. So now, how do we now deal with situations whereby we have relations? As I was saying, there are so and now what I can then go ahead to do is I can then go ahead to get the user relations. So if I say user relation attributes, that will be collect of our method, the method that is on our as attributes, which is relations array. Relations array relations array. I'm coming. It is right here. Let me just look at for its relations array. Yeah, you can see it here. So we can easily use this to get all our relations array. So I can say here get relations relations oh sorry, there is, I don't know why I can't find it. Relations to array, trying to look for it. Yeah, relations to array, this is the method I'm looking for. Relations to array. So this helps returns array of relations of the user to us. So we can then go ahead, call that method to get an array of all the relationship that you've defined on the user, and it's also loaded. You have to load it. So if I refresh, let me see, let me die and dump user relationship attributes, relation attributes, sorry. Now notice it is empty. The reason why it is empty is because we've not loaded it. So we can just go ahead and say $this, that is the current resource, load using the Laravel helper, the relation that we want to load, company. Once we do that, we get our company relation. Now you see the current user company is null. So this user relation, company relation is null. So let me quickly edit the user resource to load the user company. I will just, so I can say, let me just put it somewhere here, company, $this, $company. So that way we can see it as well. So now I can then go ahead to my user model. So now that we are getting the user relations, we can also just say $keys of the relation. So if we die and dump our user relations now, you will get the keys alone. So you can see now we have the keys of that particular relationship. So we can then go ahead to merge the user relations and the attributes of the user. So you can say our attributes will now be equals to $attributes. Then using the Laravel collection helper, merge with user relations. So by the time we did our attributes, we die and dump our attributes, we realize the company is now included in the attributes. You see now company. So with that as well, we can then go ahead to pass our attributes into this. And if you have some relationship that you want to exclude as well, you can make use of your except the relations, then keys. So it does if you have any relation that you want to exclude, so you can go ahead and exclude it as well. So we still have our, now you see the company is null. So let me look for a user that has a company, user with ID of 6 and 9. So with ID of 6 and 9, 6. So with user with ID of 6. Now you see this user is currently 60. Let me go back to the first user so I can show you properly. So this user ID with does not currently have a company. So let me associate a company with this user. So I will just come to the companies page and change the user ID to 1. Yeah. Go ahead to save. Now note it is currently 75. By the time I refresh, it goes to 83.33. So this is how you can compute the percentage of completed by on your user profiles. So both with their relationships and the likes and the likes. So thank you for watching, and I hope you actually enjoyed this video, and I hope to keep creating content that you like. If you have any type of content you would like me to create, you can let me know. And please click on the subscribe button. I know I don't have that notification there yet. Very soon I will have it there. Click on the subscribe button, like and share with your friends. Thank you very much for watching today's tutorial. Thank you.